Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Media Magpie podcast. Today is a very interesting episode. Not only is it the 10th episode now, but I've got a guest with me, and it's a different sort of episode because we're not going to be talking about one particular thing. We're sort of going to be talking about a whole range of things in regarding this guest. So, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ben. I am a guitar player from Sydney, and yeah, I was very kindly asked by Connor to be part of his podcast. So, yeah,
Yeah, and again, it was we're mates. He's a long time friend of mine. So I was happy to have him on. And for the people watching, I've got a shirt of his. So definitely a big supporter of his. Gone to his live shows and everything. And so and even though I'm his friend, I actually do really enjoy his music. It's great. So I do recommend go check him out, and I'll put his links to all his socials in the podcast and in the YouTube description. So Ben, let's sort of get into a bit about you. What was I guess before we get into stuff about you, well, I would like to wonder what's sort of one of your favorite artists or bands, and sort of explain maybe why.
um, it's a hard question because it always changes.
Sure. Well, maybe
Um,
okay. Maybe I'll change it up. What
I
artist do you feel
think
like influenced you the most in your music?
I think there's two or three main ones. One is a guy from Sydney called Pliny,
Plenty. Yep.
um, who is very good. Um, then another one is this other band called Intervals, um,
Intervals.
who are this Canadian instrumental band who like mix instrumental guitar with like EDM.
There you go. Very interesting.
So, and then like Metallica and Dream Theater as well.
Yeah, everyone loves
Pretty
Metallica.
huge.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
have you shown me? You've shown me. I know you've shown me plenty. Have you shown me the what was the other one you mentioned before?
Intervals.
Yeah, have you shown me? Have you made me listen to them before? I can't. Even, I don't think
I
so.
think so.
No,
Maybe in the car, just really low
maybe.
volume.
Anyway, I can't remember. So from
I'll have
from the
to.
sounds of that as well, there's a theme of with your music as well, is that your music is all instrumental based. There's no
Yeah,
lyrics. Why would you say that is? Is it because you're not really good at writing lyrics, or what's the whole deal with it?
probably. Yeah, probably just like writing lyrics is an extra thing to do, and I'm pretty terrible at writing lyrics as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I guess writing lyrics is sort of like, it's sort of like writing a story. You sort of have to,
yeah,
pay attention to the words and make sort of, if you want to have a song maybe that's meaningful, you want the words to mean something. So then in that regard, it's tricky. So
yeah.
I get what you're saying for sure.
And then yeah, I guess it's also having to find someone to sing those lyrics as well because I can't really sing.
Fair
So
enough.
it's like
Fair
one
enough.
extra thing to worry about.
Well, you
Um,
can play guitar, as you said, and
yeah,
and how long have you been playing guitar for again?
uh, probably about 14 years
14
now.
years. So
Yeah,
how old when you first started then? 14 years ago. That's a long time ago. So
about 10, yeah,
that's pretty good. That's
ages
a
ago.
long time to be able to, continue that effort and continue all that, and then even after still, practicing, becoming sort of an artist that, releasing your own music with that. So
Mm,
it's pretty good.
yeah.
Another thing I want to ask in regards to sort of when you name like your songs, is there any sort of inspiration or I guess reasoning behind when it comes to naming the songs? For example, like the Lighthouse. Like, well, we know. Is there any reason behind
Yeah.
any of the song? Like,
Yeah, I guess like two of my favorite places. in Australia, like Wollongong and Port Macquarie, they both have lighthouses in them, so that kind of influenced the naming of that song. Then other ones, pretty much just name them after like what I'm into at that time. Like, yeah, like one song called A Certain Point of View. I was like pretty into Star Wars at that time, and there was like this one quote where I think Obi-Wan said something like, "Oh, but it's true from a certain point of view," and that kind of stuck quite a bit. So yeah, I thought it would make a good song title.
Yeah.
And then, um, yeah, I guess, yeah. Then for another song called Liminal, it was just like, yeah, I think my social media page or feed was just filled with like these images of like liminal spaces, like the back rooms or something. So yeah, I think that kind of, yeah, all the song names are kind of just like influenced by like whatever is going on
Yeah, that
with
makes
like,
sense. That makes sense. And I mean,
yeah,
I will say I do love Lim. I mean, I love all your songs, and then Liminal's really good. I really like that one. That one was. I feel like there was an interesting, different change from Liminal from the rest of your other songs. But again, they're all they're all very unique, and they're all really good.
yeah,
I
thank you.
guess jumping on to, as you said, yeah, what of stuff around influence the title. What other sort of hobbies do you have other than your artist stuff? Let's get into sort of talking about that.
Well, I guess the main one aside from that is probably gaming,
I mean,
which I guess is a given in 2024.
well, yeah, I mean, it's not really a given, but like there are a lot of people out
Yeah,
there game. I mean, myself included. I game a lot, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I definitely classify myself as a gamer.
Um, yeah, probably just like going to live shows. Yeah, I think recently rock climbing has been something that
Okay,
I've been enjoying quite a bit.
there you go.
Um, yeah, just like all these little things just to do on the side.
Yeah, it's fair. That's interesting actually that you mentioned rock climbing. What made you want to get into rock climbing?
Uh, I think I used to do it during school because like there was like that Thursday sport thing where yeah, everyone kind of just like went off and did their own sort of like little fitness sort of activities, and like I've never really been into many sports, but I think yeah, I think rock climbing is kind of like yeah, there's like different levels where like you can kind of like keep pushing yourself every week. Um, like different walls you climb. They're like if you try do them during like the first week, you won't be able to do them. But then yeah, as the weeks go on, you just like keep practicing more, and yeah, you'll be able to knock them over.
Yeah, and that's good. And I guess that's sort of the whole process of when you do something. If you just keep going at it and keep trying and trying again, you'll get better at it. No, it's very
Yeah,
interesting. That's a good point there, Ben. And I mean, I remember. I mean, we went to the same school. The sport that I chose to do was ice skating, which, to be honest, I didn't choose for. I just chose to have fun, shits and
yeah,
giggles, skating around. I still remember all the guys skating around were just having a good time. I've got heaps of videos on my phone of all that fun times during high school, during sport. So,
mm.
no, that's fair enough. And I guess now going back to sort of your music, I always wonder when you're sort of making a song, how do you know when the song's sort of like, when you know the song's finished? Like when it's done?
um, yeah. That's a good question. I don't really know. I guess like I think something I kind of do a lot is like I just yeah like get the songs from the computer onto my phone and then just like put my AirPods in and just like take on a walk. And yeah, if it kind of fits that vibe, or like taking it for a drive as well. Like if I feel like it fits that, then it's done.
Yeah. So you sort of listen to it and make sure that it sounds good and that like it fits the vibe that you sort of want to hit for that song. And then once it
Yeah,
hits that, then it's sort of good. I mean, yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense. That's sort of how you'd figure out if it's finished. So yeah, that's good. And then in regards to when you're listening to your songs, how does it feel when you're making new songs and but then you go back and listen to your older work? Like what's the feel from that?
Um, it's yeah, it's kind of strange. Um, because like yeah, recently I kind of like discovered, like stumbled across like this hard drive with all these songs that I made when I was in like year 12 back in 2018
Yeah, wow. There you
at
go.
school. Um, and like pardon my language, but they sounded pretty crap compared to like the stuff being made now. So yeah, it's yeah, like I try not to go back and listen to my own stuff, but like occasionally I'll just like go onto YouTube or like um Spotify, pull up like a song from I don't know 4 years ago, and yeah, just like yeah, either think, oh, that was awesome, like set, yeah, definitely onto something there, and then some others are like, oh, why'd I do that?
I mean, fair enough. And I mean, I guess as you grow, when you make new music and as time changes, you sort of might change the ways you might want to do stuff, or you know, you have a different ear to sort of things. So then when you go back and listen to what you used to be, it's quite tricky, and it's quite. And again, same with me. Like when I go back and listen to my old podcasts, even going back and listen to the other podcast that you were a guest on as well, it's I'm probably still the only one that listen to it. I will admit I've gone back and listened to it, but yeah, no, it's definitely it's interesting to hear it, and you're like, oh god, why did I do these things and why did I do that? And I
Yeah,
guess that's the self sort of self
the
critic of
self
yourself as
criticism.
yeah.
Yeah,
And look, it's good to be a self critic. There's nothing wrong with being a
yeah,
self critic and self critiquing yourself because then you obviously want to learn from your mistakes or maybe going, oh, but I did this and it was good at the time, but I can do maybe if I want to do it again, I can prove on it. So it's good to do that, but you don't want to obviously do
yeah,
that, which is good. So it's good to hear that you try to avoid not listening to it too much, which is good.
yeah.
And then in regards to I guess sort of creative blocks, obviously when you're an artist, you sort of have those, you can have those times where you just nothing comes out and you sort of have a mental block or creative block. How do you sort of handle when that sort of happens with in regards to you?
Um, yeah, it's funny you ask that because like that's kind of happened quite a lot this year.
Oh shit,
Um,
really? Oh.
like yeah, because yeah, like the start of the year, kind of like released two songs, and then uh, yeah, kind of just been like chipping away at two songs
Hmm.
to follow on from that, and then yeah, I think the biggest thing has been like just experimenting because like the previous two albums that I've put out, like Somewhere in the Universe and Always Will Be, they're kind of like fairly similar to each other.
Sure.
And so yeah, I guess like recently I've kind of just been yeah, experimenting around with like what if I mix like drum and bass with instrumental guitar stuff, which not sure if you're familiar with drum and bass at all. Kind of just like an electronic
Um,
kind of
don't know if I am.
style.
I have to maybe I have to listen to it. So I don't think I am
Yeah.
familiar with it, but
Um, so yeah, I think that's kind of been like a bit of a saving grace, just to like try something new
yeah,
and then be like put a few videos out on
yeah.
YouTube or Instagram, and yeah, like the feedback on those were like really good. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
as I said, I've listened to your like both those albums, and as much as you said they sound similar, they do again they still sound really good, and I
yeah,
still definitely listen to um all those songs. I even listened to a little bit before we started this just to get in the feel of your music again. But no, I listen
yeah,
to it all the time. I mean, even sometimes not so much recently. I've been listening to other things, and I've sort of my listen a bit of some Billy or listen a bit of some of that, this, that, Metallica, whatever, rock, whatever. But there are times where if I'm in the car and I don't want like something that's just lyrics, so I don't want to like sing along to it, I just want to have something in as, sound in the background, I would play your music. I mean, I even
yeah,
used to, when I used to do a lot more streaming on my gaming, I would play your music like when I start the stream. So, yeah. But no,
yeah,
it's very good. I do like your music. But then it's good to hear that you will sort of experiment and you keep working on that type of stuff.
yeah.
And I guess in regards to your music, is there any sort of I guess, and this is an interesting question. And if you don't have an answer for this, that's fine. Is there any particular emotion that you sort of want people to feel with your music, or is it sort of just different depending on how you feel?
Um, hmm, yeah, like I guess like especially with like instrumental music, like there's not really any lyrics to
Yeah,
help carry an emotion. So like yeah, like one song, like I think there's one called like You Only Live Once, which is like pretty fast and heavy. Um, yeah, like sometimes people will say like, "Oh, that's like such an energetic song. It like hypes me up,"
hmm.
and then other people will be like, "Oh, that's such like a mean and angry song."
So
And
I
like,
guess yeah, there's no, and
yeah,
I guess
it's interesting to like,
it's interesting.
yeah, see that like two different people can, um, yeah, feel something different about the same thing,
Yeah,
which, yeah, I guess pretty much goes for anything.
yeah, and I guess that makes sense. It's definitely, I mean, it's definitely tricky to, I guess maybe show emotion without lyrics, but it is still possible, like for sure. But again,
Yeah.
yeah, but that is actually very interesting though that two people have had separate like feelings about. I guess it's sort of when you're listening to a song, it's sort of what you're feeling as well. Sometimes that affects
Mm.
that, and how
Yeah.
so when people listen to it, they have a different sort of ear to it based on how they're feeling. So
Mm.
yeah, that's very interesting. And I guess in regards to as you mentioned when you've been experimenting, is there any new things that you've been working on or any new stuff that might be coming out sort of in the near future that we could sort of maybe tease or talk about?
Um, Possibly two new songs later this month, going
Okay,
into next month as well.
there you go.
Definitely before the end of the year. Because yeah, it's been quite a while since any new stuff has been put out. Um, and yeah, yeah, definitely more gigs getting lined up in the future. So
Awesome.
keep an eye out for that.
Well,
Yeah,
there you go. Go watch out. I mean, if you guys want to, go support Ben, check him out on his Spotify, and he's got an Instagram, which I'll make sure to link, and I'm sure he'll put all his gigs, when they come out on his Instagram and all that. So yeah, if you want to, give him a listen and keep an eye out for that. So that'd be
yeah.
great. And I guess I'm gonna give sort of one more question before we probably sort of wrap up. I think in regards to when you're in your creative process, what does the role of mistakes and accidents play in that process? Is it sort of like, do you sort of keep them in, or if it's a good accident, or how do they play out?
Um, yeah, I guess like as artists, you kind of try to make stuff as perfect as possible. Then yeah, there's definitely going to be like some mistakes that slip through. Like, although yeah, there are a few mistakes that kind of happen where like you're like recording like a guitar solo or something, or like and like you slip up and you hit a different note, but it ends up sounding good. So you're like, oh, I wonder if like that note could like be changed, and kind of ends up accidentally making it sound better. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's kind of like the way I kind of like to see accidents.
Well, that's good. And is there
Um,
any actually, and a follow up question to that, is there actually any songs where that has happened that you want to share?
not that I know of. It's
Okay.
been like
Yeah.
quite a while since I've like yeah, because I guess like just finish songs and then put them out, and yeah, that's kind of it. It's like forget the writing process even happened.
Well, yeah, that's fair enough. And it's obviously you do a lot of music, and you experiment, and do all that, so you can't remember all the mistakes that you make, and so
Yeah,
that's fair. Well, all right. Well, thank you, Ben, for chatting on the podcast.
no worries.
I was happy to, we're glad to have you. So it was good to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for
And
having me.
again, as I
Yeah,
said, I'll leave the links for him. Go check him out on Spotify, Instagram, and yeah, just give him a listen. Show your support. But again, thank you, Ben, for being on. And yeah, that has been episode 10 of the podcast. And I'll see you all later. Bye.